Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas, and today's surf tip is working on your surfing riding a Carver surf skate. This is gonna be fun. Sit back, get your favorite drink, enjoy the show. Now for me, this episode is super important. Yes, I love doing surfboard reviews, trying all the new boards, but I'm personally always working on something in my surfing that I want to get better on. Now, roughly 2 years ago, Aaron and I started our How to Surf Better tutorials, where we actually take a topic, let's say generating more speed down the line. We look at a wave or two, where we position ourselves on that wave and how we compress and extend to generate that speed is super important while we're out surfing. However, I have found that taking that on land, on a Carver surf skate with repetition over time, what we do on land will translate into the ocean. Now, there is no substitution for water time. If you want to get better at surfing, you've got to go surfing to achieve that. However, for my own personal gain, riding a Carver surf skate, you guys always ask me, what am I working on personally? I'm always working on flow, especially front side. I want to take what the wave has to offer, apply a proper technique to generate speed surfing top to bottom, especially in smaller waves where I'm generating speed and you don't even realize that I'm doing it. And over the past few years, I feel like this is getting better. Now, this is an endless search for us to get better. I'll speak for myself. I still feel like there's tons of room for growth in all different types of maneuvers. But the basis of this particular episode is we want to pick the right Carver surf skate to achieve what it is that you're looking for so we can take what we practice on land into the water. Now, picking the right Carver is super important and you have a lot of options, but I want to try and make this simple. When we talk about a Carver surf skate, and let's say you're not familiar with riding these types of boards. I ride mine 2 to 3 times a week. I've been riding it since the late 90s, so I'm very familiar with how these feel. And I've been trying them in a bunch of different sizes. But I want to liken a Carver to how a surfboard feels. So let's start with the length. And if you've not been riding these at all, the longer the board, the more stable it is. So with me being 5'9", I've really liked the Yagadora model. This comes in at 30.25 inches in length. And then I like the Rad Ripper at 31 inches. Now, the reason the length gives you stability is because the trucks are so far apart, and the longer the board, the further apart the trucks are. And I want you to think of that length. You have more rail line to push off of, and because the trucks are further apart, it's giving you a longer arcing turn. Now, I did ride the Super Surfer, which comes in at 32 inches in length. And for a guy my height and my size and weight, it did take a bit of effort for me to get that board going. Because it has 1 inch extra rail line and the truck's a little bit further apart, just to push and get it going took more effort. Now, it doesn't sound that bad. Once I got it going, it was fast, it was fun, very stable. But because it took so much to get it going, it wears me out faster. So this is kind of where I like to live on the lengthwise, roughly 30 to 31. Now on the shorter side, this is the Fishbeard, and it's 29.25 inches. So the trucks are going to be closer together, and that's going to give me a shorter arcing turn, and I'm going to be able to go rail to rail faster and get my speed up quicker. Now, you're also going to have an option for the different types of trucks. Now I'm going to put these flat on their back here so you can see the differences. So you have a CX truck, which turns like this, and this offers a quicker pivot. For me, it feels snappy, and it's a shorter arcing turn. Now this is the C7 truck, and you can see it's more of a swivel. I have it super loose, so the board's really responsive. And what I like about this truck is it doesn't matter if I'm going fast or slow. When I push and I'm on rail, this truck gives and swivels, and I can do a tighter turn even at slower speed and really work on compressing, extending, and have better flow with the C7 truck. Now, this also has a C7 truck, but it's more set to medium in tightness, not nearly as loose as this. So just messing with how tight all the trucks are, that will also give me the stability I'm looking for. But the best turning radius for me is when this is loose, and if I want my surf skate to feel most like surfing, I'm going to choose the C7 truck over the CX truck, especially when it comes to flow. Now I want to talk a little bit more about length and how we would relate that to surfboards. I talked about a longer board having the trucks further apart from each other, right? I want to talk about the Flat Earth coming in at 5'7" in length and the Mini Ghost coming in at 5'4". So what separates them, not so much the thickness and the width, but the length alone is going to have a particular type of arcing turn on a longer board. So more rail line is going to draw out my turn. It's going to give me more stability, and I'll be able to utilize that rail to my advantage to get more drive. Now on the Mini Ghost, with it being 5'4", 3 inches shorter, it's going to go faster rail to rail. I'm going to put it up into the lip quicker, and it's going to be faster in a tight transition. So I want you to think about that. Let's say we're surfing maybe shoulder high surf and below, and I want to get into the lip as fast as possible to maximize the pivot and the rail. I'm going to be able to do that quicker on the Mini Ghost compared to the 5'7" Flat Earth. So I'm really trying to help you relate to the length and what I want as a surfer. Let's say I like the length of the Yago Dora and I want to work on pivot and snap. I don't think I'd buy a new deck. I would just move the CX truck over and take the C7 truck off, and I'll have that quicker pivot and still have the length, but I'll be able to get my speed up quicker and it'll have that pop I'm looking for. All right guys, I'm going to show you two basic things just to gain speed on your Carver surf skate, and then I'm going to let you into how I work on flow and certain things that I work on when I ride my Carver surf skate. All right, so if you're new to riding a Carver, we go side to side, hitting our toe side, heel side rails to generate speed. Not a lot of upper body movement, but that twist and torque, you're going to need it to get it going. All right, so here's the twist motion. Watch my upper body as I start to pump. Now I've got upper body, lower body going, and if there was a wave with some wave face, I'd be going twice as fast. Now I gave you guys a couple basic things, but what I personally work on is really driving my turns from the back of the surf skate. The way this board is designed, and most surf skates like it, is that the C7 truck has got this swivel, and I'm driving the speed and the turns mostly from the front foot using the front truck to my advantage. However, when I'm surfing, what actually engages and gives me the most control is when I set my turns off the back foot, because that's where the fins are. So I engage a bottom turn with 60% of my weight on my back leg and 40 on my front. And as I hit the bottom turn and I want to get more speed or drive through that turn, then my weight starts to shift. And then as I go up, I extend, and then I go into the top turn. Or even if we're talking about a cutback, and I think most of you heavily front-footed surfers can relate to this, is that when you go to do a cutback or a bottom turn, you're driving it so hard off the front foot that you lose traction from your fins. Now, I've even had questions where guys are asking me, how do you know if you're front-footed? How do you know if you're neutral or back-footed? For me, it's pretty simple. Heavily front-footed surfers will drive the board from the front, and then when they go to do a turn, the fins in the tail will disengage and the board will slip out, or it will be hard to set the rail down because you're not setting it from the back of the board and really digging in and then shifting your weight forward. So what I'm personally working on is making sure that I'm driving it more or less off the back foot or even more neutral. I try my hardest not to ride my Carver 3 to 4 days a week off the front foot, because I believe that will translate into my surfing, especially when the waves are bigger. All right, so just a push or two, get myself started. I want to sit way back, get nice and low, and drive my board from the back. Bottom turn, I look down, hit my bottom turn, come up, and I hit my top turn. Now, what I want to do always is really work on flow. I talked about the bottom turn. If I'm going to make a bottom turn, let's say I'm going to look down, I don't want to do a two-stage bottom turn. And I see a lot of pros do it, or even I do that. I'm looking for one bottom turn. So look down, compress, extend out, top turn. Okay, then the other thing I'm really working on is making sure my top turns, that when I come into it and I hit my top turn, if I don't want it to slide, I'm gonna have to shift my weight back. That's one of the things that I've noticed a lot, is that controlling where I start my turn with my weight going into my bottom turn and then driving through it, just shifting my weight a little forward on a bottom turn will increase speed. Vice versa, same on my top turn or my carve. Set that weight on the back leg, start to drive through the cutback. I talk about the bottom turn, looking where I want to go. I want to look where I want to go on the cutback first and drive through it. One of the things I love about the Carver Surf Skate is the things I'm talking about are really important, but where my arms are going, opening my shoulders, my hips by looking with my head first. There's an incredible amount of power and increase with repetition to get what I'm looking for, and that's how I'm finding more flow in my surfing, especially frontside. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's surf tip, working on your surfing, riding a Carver Surf Skate. Now I put multiple links in the YouTube comment field below that if you want to progress your surfing, become a patron, unlock the exclusive content in multiple topics in our Surf Better tutorials. I also put a link to the Carver website to help you pick the right carver. And moving forward, I'll be doing multiple surf tips coming up where I'll be riding a Carver Surf Skate as I personally work on progressing my surfing in particular maneuvers. So you're gonna need one of these to follow along. Look, if you like the show, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.